Hey, so today I'm going to talk a little bit about the math involved in shooting USPSA, hit factor scoring. Not necessarily hit factor math, but kind of just some of the math that I've used before to um, be able to predict how a match or a stage is going to shake out and kind of like know what I need to do well or to win or whatever the case is. So, um, I should start this off by saying like where I'm at right now, I'm not really in danger of winning anything other than like a local. My local club has quite a bit of heat, but if I go to like a major, I'm not gonna make the podium. That being said, you can still use this same kind of like framework to know if you're gonna if you're gonna beat your buddy. Like if you and a buddy are on a squad, you can kind of use this same methodology to look at how he's shooting, look at how you're shooting, and kind of know what you need to do in order to beat him. So um, every match that I have won, I've had this kind of I've been thinking this way during it, and I think that it helps. So, sometimes I've gone to a match and I've shot and I just really haven't paid attention to anything, and I just go ahead and shoot, and then at the end the results are what they are. Sometimes I've paid way too much attention and I get sucked into that and think that I really need to swing for the fences here, or do that there, whatever, and that can be problematic too. So the way I do it at a match, I will not look at um like the results as they're coming in. Like I don't look at who's leading on a stage or who's in the lead for the match. Like I don't open practice score a competitor until the match is all like over with and done. Um that being said, like it doesn't mean that I don't know who's beating me or who I'm beating. So if there's somebody else on my squad that I think like has a pretty good shot at beating me or a good shot at like winning the match or whatever, I'll be paying attention to I'll be paying attention to their stage time and their hit factor, and then pay attention a little bit as to like what their hits are like when we're out scoring the stage. And so the data that kind of gives me is like where are they getting their like where are they winning and where they're losing? Are they more on the speed side, more on the points side, both? Like where are they getting me on? And I kind of go from there. So for example, a match I shot yesterday, I won that match in the end, and I can say pretty confidently that at about the halfway point, I was not winning the match at the halfway point, but at the halfway point, I was pretty sure that I could win, and then um, by not even really like shooting the last stage, but like by the time my squad was going into the last stage, I had a pretty good feeling that as long as I didn't do anything completely stupid, I would win the match. And here's here's kind of how I I determined that. So there's the guy who got second was also on my squad, and I had a pretty good idea that he like if I wasn't there, or even if, like with me being there, like he had the ability to beat me. And on the first two stages, he did beat me, so he was leading by quite a bit. But the first half of this match was very like up close and hosey, and he, for lack of a better way of saying it, like he just kind of went like full send and just happened to hook up. And a large part of the reason he was able to like hook up and actually make some hits was just the fact that these targets were so close. And so I kind of looked at that and was like, okay. And he was shooting open major, so that can be like a legit strategy. So like the first stage of the day, he shot immediately after me. So I went and shot it, and I had one pretty bad time suck where I basically ended up having like a standing reload. I was coming out of a position. My last target that I was retreating out of the position on was a head box. And so I shot two, and I called the last one bad, but by the time my brain had said, like, you need to make that up, I had already initiated the reload, so I ended up completing the reload, taking the makeup shot, and then moving into the last position. Cost me probably about 2 seconds, give or take. So anyway, shot, and I finished that stage, and I was in the lead on that stage by, like, quite a lot. So, but I knew that there was, other people at this match that could beat that potentially. But at the moment, I was in the lead. The next guy to shoot was the guy I'm talking about who got second. Watched him shoot it. He burned it down. Managed to, he was shooting open major, so he didn't have to reload. Therefore, my reload shouldn't have slowed me down as much as it did, but it did because I messed it up on the, having to take that makeup shot after the reload. So he was able to basically shave, I don't remember how exactly the time, a few seconds off of my stage, with significantly worse points, but he was fast enough in that the speed made up for the points, and he won the stage by quite a bit, actually, too, like 11-12%. Like it was a pretty big stage win. So I had second on that stage, he had first, but by a lot. Moving into the second stage was kind of odd. It was the tightest stage of the match by far. I ended up in 7th place on that stage, but I was at like 95%. So all the other stages, like, they were not nearly that tight. There'd be like 2 or 3 people that were within 10% of each other, and then everybody else was quite a ways down the list. So on this second stage, it didn't go super great, but it didn't go like bad. I had good points, but I could have probably flowed it a little bit better and had a little bit better speed. I had some I was a little bit flustered going into it because I had a reshoot on this stage. The first time I ran the stage, I didn't even get the first shot off, and this RO said stop and basically claimed that I broke the 180. I was like, I don't think that happened. We went and looked at the video that I had somebody filming it on my phone. Went and looked at that. Every single other person at the match that was watching this whole thing take place, they were like, no, you didn't DQ. And so I was pretty confident that I didn't. Watching the hat cam footage and the cell phone footage afterwards, I'm also pretty confident that I didn't. So after the arbitration, the DQ was overturned, and I got to have my reshoot. But I was still a little bit like, it messes with you mentally a little bit. So I was probably, a little bit affected by that. And so I kind of just took the layup on the stage, and it went fine. Like I said, I was at I think 95 or 97%. I don't remember exactly what it was. It was, pretty close to the top percentage wise, but like 7th place placement wise. So whatever, didn't really gain any ground, didn't really lose any ground. That one, somebody else won it. That second place guy that I was kind of comparing with throughout the match, I don't remember exactly how he did on that one, but I know that he beat me on it. So that was 2 of the 4 stages. this other guy is in the lead. Um, so I'm still just kind of not exactly sure what's going to happen. We get to the last two stages, and the shooting on these stages is a lot more technical. So, um, like you're you're going to need more sight confirmation on all of these targets. There's, a lot of like partial up no shoots and stuff at a fair bit of distance, head boxes, things like that. I mean, there was just head boxes like throughout this whole match. It was a lot. You can see the video with all the hat cam footage of this match in my shorts. It's posted in there if you want to see it. And those are in order that I shot them. So you can kind of compare what I'm talking about here to that if you want to. Anyway, so looking at these stages now, I'm looking at them and I'm thinking, okay, I've been winning for points like with authority throughout the first two stages. Now we're coming into where sight confirmation is going to matter a lot more. Not that, speed always matters for sure, but it's going to be a lot harder to outrun your sloppy shooting, if that makes sense. And this guy who was in second, who I've been comparing to, he's beating me up until this point. His target engagement strategy had just been extremely aggressive and not very conducive or effective for getting points. He had been dropping a lot of Charlies and, some deltas, and I think he had a no shoot on the first stage as well, but he was just able to outrun it being as fast as he was. But, now we're getting a little bit further back, so all those Charlies become like deltas and bikes pretty quick with a little bit of distance, right? So I'm thinking, unless he like really reins that in, this is gonna go in my favor. And sure enough, he kept his same target engagement strategy of just burning everything down. Shot some mics, or I'm not sure how exactly he did on the third stage, but then going into the fourth stage, it was basically the exact same stage as the first stage, but just backed up like 5 yards, 10 yards. I'm not sure exactly how much they backed it up, but they backed it up a ways. So you basically shot the same stage plan, but you had to, call your shots quite a bit better than you did on the first one, on the first stage. So I kind of looked at it and was like, and even just looking at this match, like before we even started shooting, just looking at everything, I was like, okay, there's a lot of head boxes, a lot of no shoot partials. Basically, if I can go through the match and still keep decent speed but not shoot no shoots and not get mics, I'm going to be sitting pretty good, because people are going to be eating no shoots, people are going to be getting misses. And that pretty much turned out to be true. So going into the last stage, ton of head boxes and no shoot partials and stuff. And so I was shooting first before this other guy that I was still trying to beat. And basically in my head, I was like, I just need to be fast enough and not drop, not leave many points on the table. So that's what I did. I shot my points and did it relatively quick. He shot next, burned my time to the ground. I don't remember exactly how much faster he was on that stage, but he was faster. But then we go up to score the targets, and I knew before we even started walking up to the targets that it was going to go in my favor. He had like 3 or 4 mics, maybe a no shoot. I don't remember if he had a no shoot on that stage or not, but when you get 3 mics on a stage like that, you can't really outrun it. No matter how much, I would have, if I was way slower, then sure, maybe he would have been able to outrun his misses at that point. But you're losing 15 points for each one of those misses. That's, because it's the 5 that you don't get for the alpha, and then -10 for the mic penalty. So he's down 45 points on I don't remember what it was, like 28 round stage. Like you can't outrun that. Like it's not physically possible. And that's how it shook down. So we were scoring his stage. I didn't even see what his hit factor was, but I saw what the hits were. I'm like, yep, like I'm pretty confident that I knew for sure that I beat him. The other guys on the other squad, I hadn't been paying quite as much attention to, so I wasn't 100% sure. Uh, but just kind of judging by what I had seen previously, and like I hadn't shot at this club before, but I had kind of gone through practice score and looked at some of the uh, match results from previous matches where people that I did know had been shooting there, and I could kind of judge my performance off of that. So anyway, that's kind of how that shook down. By the time that stage was over, I was like, yeah, I'm pretty confident that I beat this guy because I didn't leave too much on the table with the two stages that I lost to him, and then the two that I won to from the two that I won against him. I won by a considerable enough margin that I was pretty sure I was going to win, or at least beat him. So then, I checked practice score competitor, and sure enough, I'm high overall. So, all that to say, paying attention to your competitors, like whoever you're shooting against, paying attention to them, and then paying attention to, your own ability and your strengths and weaknesses can help you a lot in a match if you apply it right. And I'm not saying that like you need to get neurotic about this, and I have before, and that's honestly cost me more than it's helped. So I wouldn't recommend like thinking about it crazy hard, but when you're kind of neck and neck with somebody, by the time you get to like the last couple stages, if you're still pretty tight with them, you can often do a little math just mentally. You don't have to get it like exact, but you can just kind of do a little math in your head of like, what do I need to do to just flip it just enough that I'm on top. And if you can pull that off, it can definitely help. And the best way that I've found to do that is to kind of pay attention to those three things with whoever you're neck and neck with: the stage time, hit factor, and then how their points are. Like if you're going up and pacing, just kind of listen. What's the RO calling? Do you hear him saying Charlie a lot? Like, okay, well, he's leaving some points on the table then. Charlie's still fine a lot of the time, but if it's an alpha, it's better. If you hear a miss, like that's something you want to know about. If you hear a no shoot, that's something you want to know about. Etc. So, I know this is a little bit like nerdy and geeky and isn't going to really apply to everybody. I'm not talking a whole lot about how to just shoot guns today. It's a little different, but I found this kind of interesting, and I definitely use this kind of thought process in matches, and I have before too. So another thing you can do is like if you're neck and neck with somebody, or you're kind of in danger to like win your local, or maybe you're in danger to win a big like a level 2 or level 3 match even, if you have a stage, regardless of whether you're winning, like whether you're in the lead on that stage or not at the time, like think about what you left on the table. So like on my first stage, when I shot and I had that, basically standing reload where I had to make up that headbox shot after a reload, I knew I was leaving time on the table with that. In the moment, I thought better to get the points than the time. I think that was the right call. Still, I'd honestly have to go do some what ifs in practice score to know for sure. But at the time that I was, in the moment shooting, that's what I decided to do. And so I knew that when I got done with the stage, they said the time and the score and whatever. And in my head, I'm going, somebody could beat that. Like, I didn't know if anybody would. This club didn't have as much heat as my local club. If I would have been at my local club, I would have, in my head, I'd go, somebody is going to beat this. Like, it's not even a question. Somebody's going to beat this stage. It's just a matter of how much they're going to beat it by. And I've had that happen at a local before. I shot a stage, and I don't remember what I had, like a 8 point something hit factor on it, and at the time that was leading by a fair bit. So the guys on my squad are like, awesome, like you crushed it. And I immediately said, somebody's getting closer to 10 on this one, like somebody's going to hit 10 hit factor. And sure enough, I think I ended up second on that stage, maybe second or third, I don't remember exactly. But I went into practice score after and checked that stage, and the guy who won the stage was like 9.7, 9.8 hit factor. So if you know that you're leaving something on the table, it's good to like stash that away, and like don't beat yourself up that you left something on the table. But it's good to pay attention to what you are leaving on the table. If you're leaving points on the table, if you're leaving time on the table, know what it is that you left and where it was, and that can help you in the future stages. It can help you just in the future in general, but it can also just help you pay attention to the next guy who shoots it and see, like, okay, did he flip things a little? Did he leave less time and more points? Did he still get all the points and not leave any time? Because if that's the case, like, he beat you for sure, right? So yeah, pay attention to those things. I know it's really nerdy and not everybody is into this USPSA stuff, so sorry. I just find it interesting. Another thing that I talk about a little bit is like some people get into like hit factor math and they try to like estimate winning hit factors on a stage. I do a little bit. I wouldn't say that I get as carried away about that as I do what I've talked about before, with just kind of comparing with it, like between other competitors. But the biggest things that I pay attention to with like trying to estimate hit factor are how many targets are there, because that's going to determine how many points are available, and kind of like how compressed they are. Like, do you have to move a lot to get to all of these targets, or are they all kind of available from relatively close positions, or like, one or two positions? Because the more spread out the points are, the more time it's going to take to get them all, right? But this is basically just math of like trying to figure out how long it's going to take to run around and collect all the points, and how efficient you are at collecting those points. Like, every target is a potential of 10 points, right? If it's two per, like two alphas, 5 points apiece. If there's a whole bunch of points to be had in a condensed like in a very compact location, it's going to be easier and faster to get them all than it is if they're more spread out. So then the other thing I would pay attention to is like how easy and hard are these points to get. If it's partialed up head boxes out at 15 yards, that's going to be harder points to get, and probably take a little bit longer to get those points than it would be if it's like an open target at 5 yards. So I just kind of look at that a little bit, like, how many points are out there? How fast roughly should I be able to collect all of them, like get around at least into all the positions it's going to take to get all of them? And then how hard are they going to be to get once I'm in a position to take them? So I've kind of thought that through a little bit and gotten somewhat accurate results as to like what I think a winning hit factor should be on a stage. But it's not an exact science, and I wouldn't get super tied up in it. Like, at the end of the day, you just want to collect all the points as quickly as you can. So, yeah, that's my weird nerd rant today. But anyway, let me know if you have questions about this. Uh, oh yeah, and then it's like the formula for hit factor, is points divided by time. So you can kind of do a math if you figure out like how fast you think you can shoot the stage, if you think you're going to be able to get a good enough estimate of that, and then just um, you like take the total number of points, divide it by the time you think it should take. I would say probably take like 90% of the points out there, divide it by the time you think it's going to take, and then that's probably roughly like what hit factor you should shoot it at. And then, if you're calculating for like what you think it's going to take to win, you're going to have to kind of know who you think is going to win this match and how fast you think they can collect the points, right? If it's like a super squad GM, they're going to be able to collect those points faster than I am. So their time is going to be less, and they're probably going to be getting more of those, maybe not. I mean, I tend to shoot pretty high points, but they're going to at least be getting as many of the points that I'm getting, and they're probably going to be doing it in a, a lower time. So that's kind of a formula you can use if you pay attention to those three things that I talked about, like how many points are out there, how spread out are they, and how hard are they to get once you're in a position to take them. You can kind of use those last two, how spread out are they and how hard are they to take, use that to kind of figure out what you think the time is going to be on the stage, and then use your, how many points are out there, do the formula, you can figure that out. But anyway, if you have questions on this, I'd be happy to have a discussion in the comments. Like I said, I'm not like an expert at this, but it was just something that I found kind of interesting at the match yesterday, and I hadn't really thought about it before. The match yesterday was kind of interesting because you could kind of watch both. There was two squads, and I could kind of watch everybody shoot. So I kind of had an idea of how the whole match was going the whole day, and that just kind of led me to do some of this mental math. And that's where, like, before the last honestly, before even I really shot the last stage, in my head I'm like, I should win this match unless something like pretty catastrophic happens. Nothing catastrophic happened, and I won the match, and it wasn't a huge surprise to me. So that just got me thinking about this topic and like how to kind of manage these things and do a little bit of that math in your head. Not that it's super important to, like, I would say it's fairly important. Well, it's semi-important to the game. Like, not everybody has to do it. You don't have to be good at this math to be a good competitor, and just because you are good at this math isn't going to make you a good competitor. And it obviously has hardly anything to do with shooting, but it can just kind of help you strategize throughout a match of kind of thinking. Some people goof up and they use it as a way to, like, justify going for like the crazy stage plan that they think could win if they hook up. To me, it's kind of like golf here. Like, this is like a golf analogy. If you've got your tee off is like this knee, and then the hole is on this knee, and like in between is like the pond, and it's far enough that like you can drive it to the green on the other side, but that like it's not a guarantee. Like, it's a 50-50 if you're going to be able to hit that ball and get it all the way over. But maybe there's like a little island over here that you can like chip it there and then into the green, and for sure you can do that. It's like some guys, if you're converting this to like shooting, some guys get to a point where they're like, okay, I'm down by 5% to this guy or whatever, and if I do this, I can save this time and and hopefully, hit that ball all the way across the pond and get it to the other side. And like, that could win me the match if I hook up on that. And if you know that's like, here's the thing though, if you know for sure that you can make it from one side to the other, if you know for sure you can execute that crazy stage plan, there shouldn't be like much of a debate in your mind. You should just do that because you know you can. Like, there's no sense in using the layup stage plan or go into the island, right? Like, if you know you can drive the ball across the pond, why make an extra stroke to get to the island and then and then off to the green? Like, if you know you can do it, just do it. But if it's a matter of like, oh, if I can pull this off, I'll win. Like, that's a gamble, and gambles don't always pay off. Not saying that they never do, but like, just swinging for the fences and hoping that you hook up is rarely the winning strategy in this sport. Like, consistency trumps all. I only won a single stage at that 4-stage match yesterday, but I won the match because I was consistent enough. I had a first place stage, 2 second place stages, and then, like I said, a 7th place stage. But that 7th place stage was still a high enough percentage of the points that like the difference between me at 7th and whoever was at like 2nd place, or even the guy at 1st place, like the stage points on I wasn't losing a ton of stage points. So this game is a lot like golf. Like, you win and lose based off of your mistakes more than your crazy knocking it out of the parks. Like, you can't win a match on a single stage, but you can definitely lose a match if you like bomb a stage bad enough. So, I mean, that's exactly what happened to the guy yesterday who came in second. I just called it that he was gonna bomb the stage because I'd been watching him shoot the rest of the day. And I'm like, when these head boxes were at 5 yards, yeah, he was able to land a couple Charlies on them. But when they're out at 15 yards, it's not happening. Like, he's gonna throw rounds outside of that, hit a no shoot, get misses, whatever. It's gonna drag his points down, and he's gonna lose the stage. So yeah. Now, had he been like a shooter that could be a little more variable in that maybe would be different. But I had watched him shoot the rest of everything and just knew that he was going to burn it down no matter what the distance of these targets was, and no matter what the difficulty was, and no matter what the consequence for screwing up was. Like, these targets had no shoots. He was burning it down at head boxes with no shoots underneath of them. So I just knew that that's what was gonna happen, and it was. So anyway, I'm gonna be done with this rant. Let me know if you got questions. Go check out that match video if you want to see some reference for what I was talking about, and have a good one.